We are treasure hunting. We are digging for cool stuff in the ground. We may or may not be finding things, but we're going to bring them to you in our review of La Chimera. If you've not subscribed to the YouTube channel yet, we'd love it if you would. It's so fun to be here on days like this where we do cool international films. Not a lot of channels do that. And here we are for you, for all your foreign language film needs. Alonso, what is La Chimera about?
So this is a new film from Alice Rorhwacher. She had a great film a few years back called Happy as Lazzaro, and if you haven't seen it, I believe it's still on Netflix. This is a period piece, sort of. It's set in the 80s about a group of people who are basically grave robbers. They are going around looking for ancient Etruscan tombs in Italy and digging them up to find, art treasures and artifacts and cool stuff like that. The main gang leader here is a guy named Arthur, who is British, played by Josh O'Connor. You know him from God's Own Country and Emma, but turns out he speaks Italian pretty well, at least, to my dumb ears that don't speak Italian.
But they know he's English, though. Everyone calls him the Englishman. It's obvious he's not Italian.
Well, and he's named Arthur. Like, what are you going to do? But, he's kind of a dowser. He can sort of like divine out where these holes and tunnels are they need to dig up. And so, there's a lot of running around trying to find stuff. There's a bit of a mystery involving the girlfriend that he's constantly thinking about, a girl named Beniamina, and her grandmother, played by Isabella Rossellini, adores Arthur and is thrilled that he's back. At the beginning of the movie, he comes back via train. We come to understand that he's been in prison for a while, for things having to do with their archaeological thefts, and kind of gets sucked back into it. And the pursuit of Beniamina and the larger ideas about the world of the living and the world of the dead come into play more and more as these guys are digging their way through these tombs and looking for treasures that, as the character of Italia points out, were not meant to be seen by human eyes. They were meant to be experienced by the souls. But, if they can make some good money on some statues, these human eyes are going to go find them. What I love about the films of Rorhwacher that I've seen is she fools you into thinking that this movie isn't going anywhere or isn't structured in a way that you can recognize, plot and narrative, and this happens and then this happens and then this happens. But by the end of the movie, you so completely understand these characters and why they do what they do and what they're about and the larger idea behind their actions, even if at first we don't understand them. And it just brings it together by the end. And I love a filmmaker that can just kind of like seem like they're meandering and seem like it's not really going in a direction. And then at the end, it's like, oh no, okay, it all comes together, all makes sense. I see what you did there. So yeah, this movie's terrific.
So I totally agree with what you're saying as far as not really knowing where it's going. I was watching it on a screener link and Chris came in and he asked what I was watching and I told him and he's like, do you like it? I'm like, I don't know yet. I wasn't sure because it does have this kind of Shaggy Dog quality to it. And these moments that just kind of play out a little longer than you might expect, where really it's about the interplay. It's about the dialogue. Isabella Rossellini has all of these young women living in her house and they all call her mom. And who knows if they actually are her daughters or there's young women that she cares for, like little baby chicks that she's, gathered into her nest. And so much of that is like overlapping dialogue and like they're hovering and they're chit-chatting and that energy kind of buoys this thing through of these eccentric people and their weird little adventures. And it's kind of Fellini-esque in that regard. Like it's just eccentrics going about their happy little parades in the street and
at
just
one
hanging
point
out.
Somebody sings a song that tells the story of the plot of the movie you're watching,
Yeah. he comes up a couple different times with his guitar and it does kind of
guy.
It does kind of cast a spell though, surprisingly so. This was shot by Helene Louvar, who also shot Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always.
Oh wow, okay.
And so I feel like it has that kind of dreamlike quality. It's like a magical realism version, like a Shaggy Dog version of the One Last Heist structure.
Right, totally.
So eventually it does begin to take a shape that you recognize, as you say, but it is done so in such a different angle than you're used to getting that story, that it subverts all your expectations of who this kind of character is at the center of this kind of film and how that last heist might play out.
Yeah, and I love a movie that sneaks up on you. Like one of my favorite films of all time is this 70s French comedy called Celine and Julie Go Boating. And you spend the first half of the movie being like, what's happening? Why is anything? And then at some point, the internal logic of the film just clicks into place. And the second half, you're just riveted and you want to know how it's all going to come out. And so this is completely antithetical to any screenplay guide you're ever going to buy that breaks down the 3-act structure and the inciting incident. And then on page 8, there has to be a blah, blah, blah. Like these are filmmakers who are so confident in their storytelling ability that they can just kind of like move you around in through this world and through these incidents and getting to know these people in these odd, ways. And, before that parade happens, you're like, why are all these guys wearing makeup? And then you find out, oh, it's Epiphany and they're all in a parade as La Befana, just nutty stuff like that. And so I love Rorhwacher's confidence in storytelling because it pays off. This isn't, it's not indulgent in any way. She gets you arrive at the station, but you just didn't get there the way you thought you were gonna.
Yeah, Isabella Rossellini gets to be Italian. That's always fun. She brings like this grand dame kind of grace to it. But even that subplot has some subtle humor to it too, as far as what's going on with a young woman who is her maid.
Yes.
Who she's giving singing lessons to. And I like Josh O'Connor in this a lot. He also was Prince Charles on The Crown.
Oh, okay.
And he's not a very likable character. He's not a very charismatic gangster or, thief or whatever you want to call him. He's kind of surly and sullen and kind of hangdog. And, he gets more and more shaggy and emaciated as the film goes on. But you kind of want to see him succeed. You want to see him use this magical power that he has to find the one big score, that will make them all rich and get them out of poverty. One of the things they do not find underground in these tombs, though, are cast iron skillets from our friends at Lodge. We are working with a new company. It is Lodge Cast Iron Skillets, which I'm really happy about because we literally use them almost every single day in our house.
I was going to say, I was already a customer, so I was thrilled to have them come on as a sponsor.
Yeah, same. Like Chris just made this scramble with like scrambled eggs and spinach and feta just today with our giant cast iron skillet. We have the one that has like the little cornbread wedges. It's all good. So we're happy to work with them. They have a whole cool new Dolly Parton collection for those of you who like country music and also making eggs.
A big Venn diagram, I would think.
I would think so too. So we have a link for them down below. We are delighted to work with our friends at Lodge. Yes, this is full of surprises, and the ultimate indictment of the art world that it ends up becoming is very unexpected, given like the sort of low key kind of shaggy hang that this is.
Yeah, and I think what you're saying about we root for this character and want him things to work out for him, even though like he seems kind of distraught about it. I think what's interesting is that we want this character to get what he wants, but we're also watching this character try to figure out what he wants. And so that's a really interesting kind of dual journey to go on. And again, I think it brings it all together in a really brilliant way. And so I hope people check this movie out. It's a real treat.
Yeah. What's your number?
I'll say an 8.5.
I will say an 8. It is playing in theaters, I want to say, starting this Friday, March 29th, correct?
Yes, in at least select theaters, and I'm sure expanding out from there. Neon has it, so hopefully, wherever you are, it will get to you soon. And then obviously, if not, it will be streaming at some point. So keep an eye out for La Chimera.